I'm Michael Conlon. I'm the Executive Chairman of Conlon Construction.
You've been about a year on site here now at the Harris, haven't you?
Yes.
How are things going?
Fine. The usual things you find with a listed building, but nothing too onerous. And it's great to be working on such a lovely building. It means lots to people of Preston. We're a Preston company, and it's on every postcard you'd expect to see from Preston. If it's not here, it's the bus station. But the Harris is a very, very important building in Preston.
What has been your most significant challenge over these past 12 months?
Nothing major. It's just you find things that you're not expecting because it is an old building. It's coming up on 125 years, and as you get into a heritage building, you do find things which are challenges, but it's nothing we've not been able to overcome.
In terms of overcoming it, what if you had to be particularly inventive?
Not really. It's just checking the right people. That if it's say a design issue, to talk to the designers. If it's a specialist subcontractor issue, get them involved and let them come up with the solutions. It then has to be passed by the designers, but we've got a lot of expertise on this site. We particularly are known for our expertise in heritage buildings, but that also goes down through our supply chain, whether it's the stone carving, the lead work, or the specialist joinery work that we're doing. So we'll always be able to find a solution.
What's the most surprising thing you found that's sort of raised an eyebrow for you?
We've found a few bits and pieces. But just odds and sods. Like there were some large prints of 1930s sort of cinema stills, which I don't think anybody knew were in there, and just in a cupboard. And that might be something we could get to. If there's a Preston Cinema Society, they might want like some of those images, but nothing untoward. It's just the usual thing. The building had been empty before we arrived, but you just find odd bits in rooms that probably haven't been open for a long time. But that's it.
You've very kindly given me a sneak peek before we had this chat. On one of your contractors in there was saying that only 2 windowsills out of more than 100.
20. Yeah, were rotted. Yeah, because they've used good timber when they built the place. But I mean, even stripping the windows, a lot of them have been painted shut for many years, and probably about 12 coats of paint on them. So that took a bit of stripping off. But all of the ironmongery is in perfect condition. They've used good brass ironmongery when they built the place. And as David said earlier, there was only 2 of the sills in the whole building that we found to have rot in them. So that's not a big job. And it's good to see that workmanship has endured the rigours of the climate of Preston for all this length of time.
And plenty of rigours.
Yes, indeed.
In terms of preserving the fabric of the building, obviously you've had to go to great lengths to protect things like the mosaic floor, haven't you, to make sure that nothing's damaged during the works?
That was our first priority when we got on site. Was the protection works, because a lot of the architecture itself is precious. So there's huge columns in there. Okay, they can take a bit of a bang with a scaffold tube, but we don't want to put a chip in something that's polished marble. So we've covered all that with plywood, and like you mentioned yourself, there's a mosaic floor in the rotunda, and we couldn't have things getting scraped at the top of that, so that's all been decked. And there's also special parts of the building, like for example the War Memorial, and so many people from Preston and around the area will have had relatives that died in the 2 great wars, and their names are carved in those War Memorials, so they had to be protected. And we even had a lady only a couple of weeks back, and she was over on holiday from New Zealand, and she came specifically to the museum to see her great-grandfather's name, I think it was, carved into the wall there. And obviously it's all protected now. We couldn't let her in to see it, but we've got her details, and when all the protection works comes off, we're going to take a photograph and make sure the lady gets to see an image of her relative's name on that war memorial.
It is going to look relatively different, isn't it, inside when all is completed?
It will. That's the whole aim from the City Council. They've got all this money to spend on the building to update it, make it more accessible, and maybe make it more attractive to younger people in particular. But they've also had the vision to move certain of the offices down into basement areas which were previously storage. Those office areas can now be turned into wall space in the upper floors for hanging the artworks, which otherwise might have been sat in the basement and only coming out once in a while. So it's a good use of the space and the walls in particular.
So more display space?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some care going into the roof lights as well, because It's very much a case of what type of glass you use, and also whether or not it needs films on it to reflect sunlight. Because if you're hanging, for example, certain works like watercolours, they would be damaged by direct sunlight and ultraviolet. So things like that have to be taken into account in the design.
And it's going to be a space for weddings as well, isn't it?
Yes,
I understand that a new addition for happy couples who might be looking for a pleasant
Indeed.
backdrop for their photos.
Funnily enough, I have the honour that my wife and I were the last people to get married in here before it got closed down. The space that was used for our wedding is now going to be particularly for the arch. And on a lower floor now, on the first floor, we've opened up one of the galleries to be a greater, more lengthy and voluminous space for weddings, so you could get a lot more people in there. Obviously we were getting married during lockdown, so there weren't that many guests, but you could get 100 or so in there easily, maybe more. And also at this end they've got access after the wedding to go out onto the balcony and have wedding photographs taken, the bride and groom in amongst the columns on the frontage overlooking the flag mark here, and it'd be lovely. It's been well thought out.
About how long would you say is left of your job, would you estimate?
With a few months, it'll be, we're aiming to be off May, June next year, but then obviously the fit-out contractors working alongside us, and
turn it back into a museum.
Summer of next year, yes. That's what the target is.
And to the people of Preston who are eagerly awaiting to see inside, as I've just been privileged to see, what's your message to them? Have they got something to look forward to?
It'll be fantastic. I mean those of us that love the museum and have been going in here for years, it's going to have had a refresh, so there'll be new things for us to see, and it'll look a bit different, a lot different actually, to how it's been in the past. But to people who've never ventured in before, it's a great space, and there'll be more entrances, because apparently a criticism was that it was difficult to gain entry because there was only one entrance there and one entrance there, but there are other entrances on each side of the building. They're being opened up now to make the building more inviting, and I'd say give it a whirl. I'm bringing kids.
Michael, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.